Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Okay, folks, welcome to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Today, I am at the Ronin Krav Maga Academy in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with my good friend, Craig Gray.
How's it going, Skip?
Hey,
how's it going out there? Good to see you.
Craig, I wanted to talk with Craig about fighting to your gun. Because a lot of times you get in a situation where you get ambushed, you get surprised, you can't get to your gun, and so the gun, therefore, is useless. If you can't get to it, it's of no use to you whatsoever. And Craig, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of my students, maybe the majority of them, they get this idea that a gun is a magic talisman that wards away evil, okay? By its mere presence, right? It's there, so nobody's gonna touch me. Well, in reality, they don't even know that it's there, right?
Right.
But the presence of the gun doesn't make you any safer, especially if you can't get to it.
Right, it can actually put you at risk for, I think,
Sure.
two reasons. Number one is if you get that false sense of confidence and security, that gun is going to take care of all your problems, and or you can go down that dark alley now. That's not what you want.
Take risks that you normally wouldn't do.
Correct, right? So you don't want that mentality. And the second thing is, because I work with a lot of police officers, right? And I ask them, guys, gals, how many firearms calls and gun calls do you go on in any given day? And they usually, they're thinking, and I gotta think back, or not that many. We had one, last week. I said, no, every single one. You're bringing the weapon to the party. So if you're concealed carrying out there, you're bringing your weapon to the engagement every single time. So if that goes south, well, guess what?
Yeah.
Maybe the other person didn't have a weapon, but hey, I can use yours.
And that happens.
Right, absolutely.
It certainly does. But you fumble to draw, it drops on the ground, or they take it away from you. It's definitely a factor. Another thing that I wanted to cover is many of my students, and I have to be careful how I say this, they are no longer in their prime.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. They're young at heart.
Yes.
Young at heart.
I'll be 64 in a couple of months.
Right.
Inside, I still feel like I'm a 20-year-old Marine.
Yeah.
But I'm smart enough to know that I'm not a 20-year-old Marine. But not everybody is.
Right. That's absolutely the case.
So a lot of my students, they're dealing with diminished capacity.
Yeah. And two, if you think of the majority of the assailants out there are young men.
Yes.
Right? So you're looking at men teenage years through, if you look at the stats, maybe mid-late 20s.
Yeah. On
the outside, I'm not saying you couldn't have someone who's in their 30s or 40s and so forth, but the violent crimes typically are young men. So now if you are, like I'm 50, but I'm not a young guy either. I'm not ancient by any stretch, but I'm not a 30-year-old.
I'm noticing a little hair loss.
That's my Mr. Clean look,
That's right.
I forgot my earring. But the young, I'm not going to keep up with an 18, 20-year-old kid. I mean, it just ain't going to happen. I'm not going to try to outrun them, outfight them, this type of thing. I've got to outsmart them. And so you folks out there too, you got to think of that. It's not a sparring match. This is an encounter, especially if you're going to, at our age and in real life. You're not in the ring, right? Meaning it's not a sport. You're not in the schoolyard.
There's no rules.
There's no rules, right? Nobody's going to come in and separate you or throw in a towel or I tap out on him and he's done. This is for real. So the idea of a physical engagement is absolutely last resort. If I'm engaging, and if it comes to me, then I'm not playing.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing doesn't mean misusage of force. Like if you draw that weapon, it better be for a good reason.
Right.
But I also know that I'm not here to just play around. I want to end it because of the duration of engagement. The longer the duration of that engagement goes on for, the more likely somebody's gonna get hurt or killed. So I want to limit that duration as much as I can, do what's necessary to protect life, myself, and even the knucklehead if I can. If I can protect his life too, right? Meaning, I walk away rather than engage. I talk my way out of it rather than having to go physical. I use less lethal physical skills versus lethal skills. Or at the last resort, you know, I maybe have to take out my firearm and shoot because I've got to protect my life or the life of someone else.
Yeah.
You know, that's the continuum of it. But I don't want to just go from 0 to, you know, 2 in the chest.
From 0 to gun, yeah.
Right? You know, that's not what I want to do. Because not only is it not legal, but it's not ethical. And the better skill that you have, that's why I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you folks tuning in. The more skills that you have, and this is going to sound weird, but think about it, the more skills that you have, the more ethical you can be.
Yeah.
Because under pressure, we don't think straight.
Right.
So we're all protectors. We were born protectors, so I don't have to teach people how to be protectors. I have to teach people how to clarify that and make them more skilled at it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the more skills that you have, the more you can afford mercy.
Yes, absolutely, right.
You know,
the safer that I feel, and the more that I can discern a true threat from not, the more leeway I have.
Yeah.
You know, I've got more gas in my tank, so to speak. So I know when it's a real threat, and I know how to get out. And keep in mind, your ego is not your amigo, right?
True.
It's not about our egos, and especially, well, guys and gals do it in different ways, right? Most guys, you can, I guess, confirm or deny this. Most guys go to martial arts, get tactical training, and/or buy a gun to feel powerful. Most women because they want to feel safe.
Yeah.
Now, it all goes back down to this preservation of life, but we just have to, I think as instructors too, we have to help people clarify that. It's like, listen, there's nothing wrong with feeling powerful. I don't want to feel at risk, but I don't want that feeling to kind of supersede the ethics of protecting life.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, one question that I have, Craig, is there are 2 kinds of fights. There's the fight that you imagine in your head, right? And then there's the fight that actually happens in the street, you know. And I think a lot of us have this concept, this idea that, okay, when I get in this fight, you know, I'm gonna put on my tights, my Superman cape, and, you know, I'm gonna rise to a level above my training, and that just doesn't happen. How long can someone who's out of shape, who doesn't work out, maybe they're 60 years old, how long can they get in a knockdown, drag-out fight with a 25-year-old man?
Well, I'm going to reframe that.
Okay.
The average physical altercation lasts about 36 seconds.
Physical altercation, okay.
An assault, an aggravated assault, less than 36 seconds. Right? 36 seconds is a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Right? And you're talking from the on-site or the onset of just post-verbal, or however it occurs, to the end of most of them are less than that, but less than 36 seconds, which, I mean, in some regards is not that long, in some regards it's a lifetime.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about firearms engagements, but a physical assault.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, how long does it take to get hurt? Seconds. Milliseconds.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah.
So you really, it's not, often it's about escaping. You have to understand and determine in your head what is your goal. Anytime that like we call it the 4, you used to call it the 4 assumptions, but they're not really assumptions, those being funny, but it's really, you know, what are the 4 things that you are thinking about when the engagement occurs, when someone approaches? The 4 considerations of that approach, right? So there's 4 things that I consider when somebody approaches me or I approach someone and there's potential for conflict. Number 1, they have a weapon, they're ready and willing to use it. They are a weapon.
Yeah.
Right? We are all weapons.
The concrete is a weapon.
Right. You know. So I have to understand, and this is not just any general way, but this is when I think that there's potential for conflict. You know, somebody I don't know approaches me on the street, or maybe I'm a manager, I got to fire somebody. You have to think of the scenarios that would kind of ignite a situation that may get violent, which a lot of people overlook. When I teach at schools, right? So I'll go and I'll do workshops for school leaders and for teachers and so forth. If you have to discipline a child and bring them down to, let's say, the office, there's potential for physical conflict.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I get called by schools who show me like video surveillance footage of a teacher getting assaulted. Like, well, how did this happen? It's a discipline problem. Yeah, overall maybe, but you also have you've got a tactical problem in the within the context of it, because you're approaching people and your teachers are approaching people in a, if you want to say, a casual conversational way, not in a tactical way. And if they have to discipline them in any way, or if they have to, there's emotions involved, people can get violent.
Yeah.
So that they have a weapon, they're ready and willing to use it. So that would change how I approach them, right? If I think someone could hurt me, I'm going to approach them differently. I may choose not to approach them at all.
Right? You may create distance.
Right. I may just get the heck out of there, pick my battles. So that's number one. Number two is there might be multiple threats. What happens under stress, I get tunnel vision. So I'm not looking at his 4 friends that are coming around the corner, ready to join the party. So if I'm a police officer, I pull somebody over, car's here, should be, behind the driver, up beside back, doing your usual, spiel. Good afternoon, my name's, Officer Craig Gray, I'm from Walker Police Department, the reason why I pulled you over, blah, 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 right? If they move quickly or get out of their car quickly and I do this, what did I probably just walk into?
Right, yeah.
The street, right? So environmental situation. So that's number 3, is what is your environment like? Same thing, teachers taking a kid down to class. There's a little rumble and ruffle. I get bent over backwards up against a desk. Or, I trip over the filing cabinet. So you gotta look at environmental conditions. And then finally, what's next? Am I just trying to escape? Do I have to protect someone else? If I'm a police officer, do I have to get out my weapon or taser or whatever and arrest them? Do I have to call for backup? So that's going to change how you engage the circumstance and how you plan for it.
And it seems like all of that can be very fluid. It can change from moment to moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better to have a plan going in. Doesn't have to be a complicated plan. Matter of fact, the simpler the better. But understand that, well, what am I going to do if? And then what's your plan B? Plan A is, approach this kid, let's say he's getting upset in class, I call him out, send him, take him down to the office, that's plan A. Well, what happens if plan A isn't gonna work, right? So I at least open up my mind of the option of what would happen if. Okay, so he gets a little lippy with me. Well, am I gonna backhand him? Probably not. Might want to, right? So what are you gonna do? Right? Same thing, let's say maybe there's not a lot of teachers out there in your community, I don't know, but maybe you're walking out of your home or out of your office and someone's parked in front of you. So you can't get your car out. And they're walking wherever they're walking. And you're like, hey, excuse me, I gotta get out. I got an appointment to go to. I gotta get out. Your car's parked right in front of me. What do? They don't move their car and you. So, but the thing is people don't think about these things, right? What I have found over the years, and you probably have too in your teaching capacity, is most adults really don't do conflict management well. They're a 1 or 2 trick pony, right? Usually it's the nice guy at first. Hey, what's going on? Hey, could you do whatever you wanted to do? And if they get their way, great. When they usually do, 99% of the time, you get your way. But there's that 1% of the time that you don't get your way. So most people had another kind of like they're serious. This is how I'm really going to get what I want. And it could be being assertive, or it could be passive aggressive, or whatever it is. But what happens when that doesn't work either? So like in a lot of our training that I do, we take people through a journey of different modalities of conflict management.
Awesome.
So this is obviously the physical portion of that.
Yeah. This is like the last resort. Everything else went south. Your situational awareness didn't work. You went someplace you shouldn't have gone, or whatever.
And you couldn't walk your way out of it, talk your way out of it,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yep, absolutely.
All right, that's it for this segment. We're going to take a commercial break. Go ahead and check out our sponsors. United States Concealed Carry Association. Check out their firearms legal insurance, and then also check out Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, where it's always a perfect 70 degrees. When we come back, Craig is going to throw me around on the mat a little bit, toss me around like a rag doll. All right,
I like it.
You're going to love that. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
This is Phoenix Korea, the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 19 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coryell.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is host Skip Coryell. Today, we are with Krav Maga expert Craig Gray in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And in the earlier segment, we just talked. Now Craig is going to toss me around a little bit, kick the crap out of me, and he's going to give some demonstration, maybe some drills that you can do at home. But I want you to get an understanding of what you're up against out in the real world. So Craig, I'm just going to hand this off to you. You are in charge.
All right, I like it.
Your house,
I like
your
it.
rules.
So what we're going to do is, first off, I just want to reiterate really quickly, this is a last chance, last hope situation, meaning you should not be taking out your firearm unless you're absolutely sure that that is the appropriate amount of force necessary for the circumstance. Our idea in our head, in our heart, and in our identity is that we are protectors of life. Obviously, we want to have self-preservation, but I also want to do the best that I can to protect everybody in my presence. Maybe even the knucklehead if I can. Meaning, I don't want to put myself in undue jeopardy to get hurt or killed myself, but in the same token, I don't want to go out of my way to kill somebody, right? And when you draw that weapon, that's the check you're writing. Now, you don't always have to pull the trigger, but I assume when I take that weapon out, it's to mean business. So last resort is my point. So this is the last resort kind of scenario. But first what I wanted to do is just there's a little drill that we're going to do with Skip. Now Skip is, you're an instructor, you've been shooting for your whole life, you're a former Marine, you teach thousands of people every year how to use and draw their weapons. So you're no slouch at your firearm, right?
I've done it before.
Right, I've seen you. Better shot than I am by far. You're also dressed for the occasion, meaning for a concealed carry, other than having an open carry, you're wearing a shirt that's easily, gotten out of the way so you get your weapon, and you know what to do. We've already precluded this drill, so you know what's going to happen. Now, you guys out there have to remember, so this, under the circumstance, best case scenario. The best case scenario is you never have to use your weapon, but if you did, this is you know what's coming, you're prepared mentally for it, it's only a drill, we're in a nicely lit, padded area, okay? So take that part with a grain, don't take it with a grain of salt, take that part to heart, right? On how this is going to be, it's not going to get any easier than this out in the field, is what I'm saying. So, first and foremost, why don't we just have you draw your weapon a couple times?
Okay.
Yeah, just do it a couple times, get used to it, not that you're not, but... We need one of those shot timers, right?
That's right.
So that's a pretty good draw, right? It's pretty fast. One more time. Good. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to have you back up to just back the flag. All right, now back up here. Now I'm going to walk quickly, I'm going to walk towards the weapon, and my goal is just to maybe get a hold of your hand or touch the weapon or something like that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's me just walking. Okay, and how far apart are we about?
What are we, about 15 feet?
Here, Dad, move a little bit forward, okay? Yeah, now you're in there.
Good.
Sorry.
So yeah, we're about what?
We're 10 feet now.
10 feet?
Oh, I flubbed my draw too.
Sorry.
Holy crap.
Alright, and I'm just walking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's hard not to walk backwards when someone is coming at you like that.
Now, I'm going to move over a little bit this way and a little bit towards me. Now, and you can kick that aside if you want. Now you can get off the X and draw.
Okay.
Okay? Nice. Now don't get off the X, just draw.
Okay.
Will shot yourself in the belly that time.
Same thing, don't get off the X, just draw.
Okay, you got it. I just barely got out of the hole.
So how far was I away? Because I moved closer, I don't know if you noticed.
You were about 6 feet. You were about 6 feet away.
Tell me, Skip, what is the average range of a gunfight?
It's 80% of all gunfights occur within 12 feet. So that's, yeah, that's about it right there. I want to be mugged by a 85-year-old man. Can we do that? That's right, with the water.
Hold it, I'm coming. Does that make sense, right? So, space matters.
Yeah.
Space creates time. In your favor or as a detriment.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is my tactical space sphere, right? So tactical space basically is the critical area of advantage. You want to be able to control the tactical space. You have a ranged weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You want space. So getting off the X, you probably heard it a million times, is imperative. But even getting off the X can be challenging,
Yeah.
right? So, case in point, so start here. I'm gonna go at random. You can get off the X and draw your weapon.
Okay, all right.
So this time I'm running, right? And how far were we away? About
10 feet maybe?
to 10-ish feet. So right in that range of where most gunfights happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? 10, 12 feet.
I almost dropped my gun on you. I did.
And I commend you too, Skip, because, you know, this is just impromptu.
Sure.
So you're doing a great job.
Well, that's the way it's going to be out on the street. That is dirty.
Right. So,
Okay.
does this make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
So
You're
what
gonna be
you
surprised.
teach, just probably in your standard courses, of getting off the X and drawing the weapon is huge.
Yeah.
It's so huge, right? And this is something that everybody can train, right?
Well, even someone old and out of shape
Absolutely.
can step to the side
Right.
while they're drawing.
Yeah. So just that as a beginning. So we can do that slow, so you can back up a little bit for me. Here's going to get off the X and draw. Good. So we're going to get off the X and draw.
You have me in battle mode here.
I know, right? You don't know when I'm going to fly at
All
you.
ramped up.
And the other thing too is you can have fun with these drills.
Yeah.
Right? So we're having fun, because what you want to do is you want to build a habit. Stimulus response habit.
Right.
And there are, as you know, and hopefully you guys know out there, if you're not, listen up, there are times to be serious in training. But to be honest, most of the training that I do is done safely but with a light heart, so I can sustain it. Right? So I can train a few times a week, not get hurt, have fun with it,
And not hurt.
and not hurt my partner.
Right.
Have fun with it, and have something that builds a habit. Because just that little, well, now I don't. So you wait, you start to sense a certain stimulus, and you respond to it. I don't care how serious that you train. If you only do it once in a great while, and you don't develop a habit, it's for shit.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Well, and I like what you're talking about, having fun with these drills, because you and I both know, two men, it's like, they say, well, this isn't a competition. It's always a competition.
It gets competitive.
So you gotta take the ego out, and if I'm having fun, that allows me to put the ego aside a lot easier.
Yes. Because in order for me to get to your weapon, what do I have to do?
Close it.
I have to close the distance, right? That's where attack with spear. I have to close that distance. Basically, all this other distance doesn't really matter. It matters when I get to here.
Right.
Because basically, hold that up for me.
Because now you have
Because
the.
that's right here. I'm just at the cusp of being able to touch you. So whenever I go, so if you move around, this is you don't want them to get any closer than this if you can, because if you notice that this starts to collapse, well now I can start to get to you.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to control that distance. Now keep in mind, you can control that distance using greater distance. It's a ranged weapon, right?
Yeah.
We've shot, like when I did some courses with you, what was that? What was the longest? Was it 75 yards or?
No, well, 75 feet we shot it.
Oh, yeah, 75 feet.
A little different.
In my head, it was 75 yards. I was like 2 miles away with my SIG.
It just
Nailing
it seemed
the,
like 75
yeah,
yards.
nailing the bullseye every single time, right?
It was a bullseye was like this big.
Yes, about as big as my car in my house. So anyway, so here's the drill. Here's the other thing too about this drill you notice. So I'm going to teach you step by step how to do it. I'm only going to touch. I'm not going to grab. I touch. You notice each time it was just a touch, right? Or the touch. So we don't end up smashing on one another, tackling one another, and all this, because it can get a little crazy.
Yeah.
And it's not my first rodeo. I've been doing this for decades, and I train. It sounds overly dramatic. Everything from Navy SEALs to soccer moms. I travel all around the world doing it. So I know how to administer it in a way that's not going to be harmful.
Well, yeah, you get to a certain age, if you get hurt in training, you could be out for 6 months.
Yeah, not
Maybe a year.
Nothing dramatic, but break a hip or break
Yeah.
a leg or break a hand, break an arm, because you fall down. And most of the injuries are going to occur when you fall.
Yeah.
And we've had people break all those things. In training, absolutely. So the drill, first off, I would say, drill number 1, draw your weapon. Like just draw your weapon. Drill number 2, get off the X, draw the weapon. Drill number 3, now I have somebody approaching me. Now, when you do this, you know what it's going to draw your weapon for me. And stop. Let go. It's a blue gun, not a real gun, right? Meaning don't use your real firearm
Yes.
with these types of drills. Every once in a while you hear about somebody using their real firearm thinking that it's unloaded and someone gets shot. And this is a real issue. So,
Well, even if it's unloaded, Craig, a metal gun, you run into a metal gun with your head and you've got stitches.
yeah, these two, but definitely you want to get to the blue gun, get a blue gun, red gun, whatever kind of gun you need. I've got one for mine too, for my SIG. It's the same model.
Let's say 365.
Yeah. 365 XL. I got that.
Yeah,
It's
the
a little
XL.
longer.
Sorry, I didn't mean to slight you.
It's not, I'm just compensating, that's all. But go get a practice weapon to train with that matches your own weapon, if you can. Most of the time, I think blue guns for the most part, they'll do pretty much any
Yeah, you can have them molded to all the major makes and models.
Yeah, so spend the extra, I don't know, $75 or
Yeah.
whatever it is to do, so it fits in your holster and you can actually train with it. So if you have that gun, get the exact blue gun. So that's the other thing. So then what you're gonna do is, I'm gonna have you step back. You start at a distance. And you have your friend just walk forward.
I can't,
Sorry.
I can't really draw if I don't feel there's a threat.
So I'm gonna walk forward, don't move, just draw, right?
Okay.
And I'm gonna walk. So what you're starting to do is just get a feel for, and you might wanna do this maybe 5-10 times, right? And then get an idea of how accurately you can get on target from just this, right? And you also get a sense of how quickly that space collapses. Now get off the X draw. So you notice I'm kind of approaching you at random.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you. I'm going now, right? So they want a little bit of chaos. Now we're gonna go a little faster, right? And the person who's giving the stimulus, I want you to just touch. So I'm going to touch the one hand, possibly even touch the other arm is fine. I don't want to do a headbutt. I don't want to tackle them. Good. Right. So at the very least, even if you aren't able to draw your weapon, you're still at a better, don't move once. If I'm running here and you're going to draw your weapon, but you don't move,
Right.
it's a tackle. Just don't draw your weapon, but just move. If I'm going here and you move, at least you're moving, right? At least you're starting to navigate the circumstance, because you have that fight, flight, or freeze. Most people freeze.
Yeah.
So training to move is huge. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Good.
You didn't tell me what to do.
Nice. Okay. So is that cool? So that's drill number one, is just getting used to that dynamic. Have some fun with it, but move. So now let's do another drill a little closer. So we're gonna be here. I'm gonna go for the weapon, because you notice I'm just outside of that bubble. This is technically too close, right? So if we're talking and there's potential for conflict, and I'm walking here, you shouldn't be there.
I should be somewhere else.
Yeah, at least, because it depends. If I'm trying to get hands on you, like my cop, I know how to arrest you, I'm gonna get closer, because I don't want you to run away, right? So I spring into action. But even at this distance, right, if we are in, oftentimes will be, this is fence position. Interview stance would be typically weapon side back, feet are in an L, and I'm about one knee length away from that front heel. My knees are relaxed and my hands are in an out-of-serve posture. So you can protect the weapon if you need to, wherever you carry. So as we're here, if you go and get into the interview stance for me, there you go. And if you extend your arm out towards me. So this is called crossing the T. So if you notice, you can touch me, I can't touch you. So you have the tactical space at this point in time. You have the tactical advantage. But it's gonna change, right? Once my shoulder goes through that, it changes. So you've got to be able to move. So as we're here, so I'm going to just walk towards you. You're gonna go from fence position to interview stance and just extend your arm a little bit. So here, fence position, interview stance, extend, then freeze. And relax into the knees for me, Bert. There you go. So that's the T. Do it again. Cool. That's it. Yeah, relax the knees. Good. And you don't have to necessarily lean forward at this point. That's cool. One last time. Nice. Sound looks simple, but I cannot tell you how many people, they don't know what that distance is, and their head is in space, right? So they'll do this, and the head will be there. So put your head in space one time. So here, bang. And that's all it's gonna take. Now, that's the minimum distance. I don't really even want them at that distance, I would rather have them out here at a longer distance. And you already saw from the last drill how quickly that space from 12 feet to 6 feet collapses. So that is a big, you need to do that so you can feel it, not just go, oh yeah, I see, so Skip did it, yeah. Maybe you think you can do better. My guess is you can't. My guess is he can,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and stress is a wild card too.
It's huge, yeah.
I mean, we're not really stressed right now. I'm alert, but I'm not stressed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And stress will lower that gap, or increase that gap rather,
Yeah.
between stimulus response. So we good so far?
Good.
So we have fence position, interview stance, movement. So fence position is hands are just in a position to where they could do something, right? You use the thinker stance a lot, which is cool. Right? So do the thinker for me. Boom. So this is perfect, right? So notice his hands are in a place to where they could come out and engage his weapon or engage me, rather than this.
Or I'll do this.
Or this, yeah, because here you can extend.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you want to be mindful of your gestures and so forth. Okay, so we good so far? So now, another thing is if I breach that space, so that bubble, that tactical space bubble we're talking about. So you're going for your weapon, and you want to keep me back, so this is good, right? Just don't shoot yourself in the hand. Right, this is good. So as you're moving, you have two things, right? You don't want to shoot yourself, but you also, if you may have to put up a physical barrier, and you probably have a super advanced course that you teach on, drawing methods, close quarter, and so
We
forth.
use radioactive bullets.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. The lasers on the sharks. So as you're getting off the X and starting to draw, this is good, right? So what happens? What happens? He does this. And I do that.
That threw me off.
Right. So that's another drill you can do, right? So as I'm coming in, he puts his hand to my chest, just like you were to keep me back, and go ahead and draw, and he draws. Now when you do that, just as a curiosity point for me, how do you not shoot yourself in the hand?
I would shoot you down here in the pelvic
Very
region.
good. So when you draw, can you demonstrate the draw? So notice how it's low,
Yeah.
coming into the pelvic.
Most people tend to shoot low when they're here anyways because they don't have it,
Yeah.
the muscle memory there.
And you also notice too that Skip's hand is touching him rather than now extending out.
Yeah.
Which is great for me for disarming, right? So he keeps it close to him. So it's hard to get to, it's tight to him, so there's less likelihood of him shooting himself and so forth. And his other hand's out, and he's shooting low into the pelvic girdle. So it's good. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So we can start this easy. I start walking, you get off the X, put your hand out, just, there you go. Do it again. Now, I'm gonna go a little faster. Good. And it's all right to, if you need to, don't think about pushing them. Think about pushing yourself away from them, right? Because you might have some big dude and you can't push him, right? Especially a small lady against a 300-pound, 25-year-old hooligan. She might not be able to push him.
So just keep your feet moving and let him push you.
Yeah, so don't worry about your weapon right now. Just push yourself off of me. Nice.
Okay.
Good.
I got some.
Good. It changes the dynamic of it. This time, push me. Push me. See the space?
Yeah.
See how much more distance you had on the other one? Again. All right. Push me.
It's more difficult.
Now push yourself. There we go. Good. Now when you do it, if you can, extend your arm for me. Try to keep that T.
Okay.
Right? So bring your shoulder forward. Don't do that. So when you push, back shoulder down and back, like you're drawing a bow.
Okay.
Right? Because you'll be drawing your weapon
I want it down there
with that, right? And to get that action versus that action. So we're gonna go easy. Nice. Nice. Now go ahead and draw. And what's the other thing too here that maybe you've noticed, and I know you probably, I think you just thought of it. He can't pull his shirt up with his offhand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I've got to do this.
Right.
So you need to practice both ways.
Right. And I remember in some of the courses that I've taken from you, you had us do it both ways, where you draw the shirt up with the opposite hand and the shooting hand. So another little key. So now I'm going to do it. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to scoop the hand out of the way. Okay.
You would have had me on that.
So we're going to slow it down. So when that happens, what I want you to do is just redirect that arm back to my center.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do it slow. Just relax even more. It's all right. Relax even more.
So you're going for the sternum.
Yes, you're going for, that's a good point, right? I'm going for the sternum. So skip it, you're going for the sternum here. If you want to take it a level higher, web of the hand into the throat.
Oh, okay.
If you want to take it higher yet, divot of the palm into the divot of my chin.
Okay.
Right. But the idea, here's the funny part, it's hard to get across in a couple-minute video. It's not about striking. It's, I'm the car, you're the telephone pole. I hit you, you don't hit me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for instance, you're gonna do the same thing and then stop and just freeze, right? So I move, you're here, get off the X and put your hand up. So I'm here, move, stop. Right? So from there, as I move in, why don't you cut that? So we want to control that tactile space. Remember, I'm the car, you're the telephone pole. So I'm going to walk towards you, you're going to get off the X, and you're going to extend the arm. And then I'll demonstrate kind of what I mean. But don't, just relax, you don't have to do it really hard, but just kind of stay there. So I'll move you over just slightly. So I start walking, you're off the X, put your arm up and freeze. So here, I'm going to turn you this way just slightly. So better aim for that. Sure. Now align your body a little bit more for me. Not the other way. More bladed. There you go. So from here, if you notice, don't move. Right? I'm the car, you're the telephone pole.
Right.
Versus if I stand here, hit me in the chest. All right, again. All right, hit me in the chest. All right, you're in the space. Typically what happens when people go to hit the other person is they lean in, right? The idea isn't to hit me. The idea is to keep the space open so you can draw that weapon. That's what the goal is. The goal isn't to, break my larynx in half or gouge my eyes out or do a, chin jab or whatever. The idea is to keep the space open so you can deploy your weapon. And that is you have to train that because intuitively, especially at first, you'll want to hit them. And believe it or not, counterintuitively, you'll put yourself in a worse position. You're not trying to box them, you're trying to draw your weapon.
Right.
Does that make sense? So, 3 options. I would start with the chest and do the chest the majority of the time. It could be chest, web of the hand into the throat, palm heel into the chin. But I would start with the chest and do most of your work at the chest. So I'm here, you're going to get off the X and push yourself off of me and draw the weapon on me. Do that. More time. Good. Now I'm going to get through that hand maybe. Because you also notice one thing that happens too, when I'm even getting around that hand, that's giving you time to draw if you don't freeze.
Yeah.
Right? But you want to bring that hand to bear back to my center if you can. So you're going to relax the arm. Just hold your arm out for me once. Just bring it back to the center. Bring it back to the center. Back to the center. Back to the center. Right, so that's all. And you can start with that drill right there. Is your partner just pushes your hand because you want to fight it or you want to, just bring it back to my center. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. I want to move the hand, bring your hand back to the center, push yourself off, draw your weapon. Okay. That was a mouthful. I advocate.
Got it.
Ready? Good. Do it again. Works. Make sense?
I like things that work in real life.
Yeah. So now, I don't know how much time we have, so we could do drills all day long. I love drills. Yeah, I love drills. So the next space inside of that is going to be hand fighting and clinch space, which is now so good for chair mount, freeze, 1 second, relax. Now we're here.
Mm-hmm.
This sucks, right? Bang.
Especially if you're bigger and stronger and younger than I am.
Right. So this is where all the real crap's gonna happen. So another thing that you can do if I collapse that space is the hand comes behind the head and you're gonna call a rhino clinch.
Mm-hmm.
This goes towards the person's center line. You're not aiming,
Okay.
right? And you're gonna elongate your body blade here as you draw your weapon.
Okay, got it.
This is like the, oh crap, I missed the other one. So you could go, so we're gonna do this actually let's just do it this way, without us doing it together. Get into, draw your weapon hand out. So just like you're doing, do that second for me. Good, do it again, get off the X. Get off the X, draw your weapon hand out. Good, do it again. Now from hand out, you're gonna go to rhino.
Oh, okay.
So same thing. Good. And again. It's all right. That
Two
was,
things at once.
that was gonna be my next thing, right?
You've reached my mental capacity.
Now, because here's the thing, because some guys will not do this, right? Because they feel too vulnerable that they're going to shoot themselves in the hand. And that's fine. You can immediately go to the rhino, right? To keep your hand away, which is totally all right. So from here, I'm going to walk towards you. You're going to get off the X, push me back. I'm going to collapse it. You're going to go right to rhino.
Okay.
Right, so here, boom, here, rhino. Thanks. Nice.
So, you know, that, with the rhino, it's like, you could hurt yourself coming in.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
So as I come in, if I go, do it one more time. So if I, as I come in, so this is putting now, so I can still get to the weapon because you're going to go from here to here,
Okay.
right? And now push yourself away from me a little bit as you're firing. And then from there, you could go to there and continue back. So very, very slowly, I move, boom, I get past that, rhino, whoop. It's amazing how much space that we cover. Right? So I'm here, boom, here, rhino, boom. So from here, good, there. Right. So on this one, you can see his elbow comes right just below the shoulder. There's a little, you can feel a little catch right there. And here, so also it keeps your hand away from the firearm, ballistics. So we're here, and also it prevents me from turning into you. Go ahead and don't let me turn in.
So it's harder for you to throw a punch.
Yeah, either way, right?
Well,
it's
okay.
possible, but it's hard,
Yeah.
right? And then from there, if you're going backwards, you just follow that along to here.
Okay.
And same thing in reverse. So get in your shooting stance once and draw your weapon just where you're at. Go ahead and draw. Good. So extend your arm. So yeah, one, and relax. Rhino. Two. Three. And then probably four. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
So you can do it in any order. You could go from rhino to that position. You could go hand position to the framed position. Right? So you got the hand, sternum to the framed position. It's here to the rhino. So on the rhino, keep contact. Rotate that around.
Okay.
So if I lean into you, go ahead and go to the framed position. There you go. And then hand position. So push yourself away. There you go. Nice. So that just is structural integrity. We could get into more of the alignment of the body and so forth, but that's just a good idea.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We gave them a lot to think about. They're gonna be rewinding this and replaying this over and over, and I recommend that you do. Because you guys, this right here, you're getting this for free, okay? But Craig, I want to thank you so much for donating your time.
Absolutely.
Give a little plug for your dojo here. Tell us about it.
Well, actually, I would rather, I've made
Okay.
something special for you guys out there and you. If you go to drawretainprotect.com, I put together something a little special for you guys. There'll be a little intro video for me, from me, and then I put up 3 training videos that will go into greater depth of what we covered here. They're all on my Peace Walker private membership site that I kind of took them from. One is taken from a workshop that I did here, and then there's a couple other, they're short videos, but good training videos. They'll expand the drills that we're doing here.
So drawretainprotect.com.
Drawretainprotect.com.
All right. If people want to train with you here at your dojo, can they do that? Can the general public do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So where do they go for that?
I would say go to drawretainprotect.com.
Okay, let's make it simple, all right? Can we complicate it?
I'd like to keep one thing, right?
Okay, sounds great. All right, well, Craig, I want to thank you very, very much for helping us out today. I respect you professionally and personally, or else we wouldn't be here today.
Wouldn't be here, that's
so,
nice, man.
So that's fantastic. Folks, check it out, drawretainprotect.com. Also check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association for legal protection, and then also Center Shot Indoor Gun Range, where it's always a perfect 70 degrees, centershotgunrange.com. This is Skip Coriel on the Home Defense Show. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week with more good stuff.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys!
Have fun storming the castle!
It's time for Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network report. Take us there, Skip.
All of us here at Frontlines of Freedom want our listeners to get trained and get armed in that order. We fully support the right to keep and bear arms for all law-abiding families, and we encourage you to find out about the laws governing use of deadly force in your state and follow them to the letter. And of course, don't forget to follow the rules of safety and common sense whenever you're carrying a firearm to protect the ones you love. What's the story this week, Colonel?
Well, in Pearland, Texas, on the night of April 17th, a couple had just gone to bed when they heard a loud noise coming from downstairs. The husband grabbed his pistol and went to investigate. He was startled to find an unknown man had thrown a cinder block through a window and was hitting the walls with a hammer. When the suspect saw the homeowner, he charged him, and a struggle ensued. During the struggle, the wife came downstairs and stepped between her husband and the attacker. She was hit in the head twice with a hammer before her husband was able to shoot the suspect 3 times. The couple spent several days in the hospital recovering. The suspect was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of burglary.
Colonel, that is just an awesome story, and it brings out so many things that we need to talk about. And one of those is the concept of teamwork. A husband and a wife can work together to help defend each other. The homeowner was attacked. Even though he had a gun, he was attacked. But you notice he wasn't able to shoot until after his wife stepped in and, just got in the man's way, the invader's way. And that gave the husband enough time to get his bearings and bring his gun into play. And perhaps maybe just the idea of having his wife there, who was then attacked, just gave him enough chutzpah to just launch his attack and take the home invader out. Another thing, Colonel, I wanted to talk about is the idea of having, things around the outside of your house that can be used as weapons, things like cinder blocks, like landscaping tiles, big rocks, all those things that we use like on outside gardens and things like that. It's not a good idea to have those things outside your home where they can be picked up and thrown through a window. Just move those things out of the way. The landscaping, a lot of us we like hedges and bushes, pretty vegetation up around our windows and our doors. Typically, that's not a good idea, Colonel, because we see it as beautiful landscaping, but a home invader sees it as a staging area. And he knows that all he has to do, he has to run from the curb, the sidewalk, up to the hedge. Once he gets inside the hedge, he can take out his tools, his glass cutter, whatever he wants, and then he can take his time getting in to the home. You want to make him take a lot of time getting into your home. You want him to create a lot of noise and to leave signs of forcible entry. All of those things give you the advantage, and it wakes you up. It gives you time to get your gun, call 911, get in your defensible position, Colonel. So this guy, he did a fantastic job, and his wife both. My hat's off to this couple, Colonel.
Well, they certainly worked together, and they certainly won the fight.